Now it's time to preview an upcoming game with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to be doing a Kickstarter preview. We're going to take a look at Gunrunners, which is by Stephen Finn, who you might know from games such as Biblios or Scripts and Scribes Dice. He's behind those great titles, and now has a game that he's bringing to Kickstarter in Gunrunners, which is going to be a card game for 2 to 4 players, in which players are using decks of cards in order to try and confiscate weapons from Gunrunners, and whoever confiscates the most weapons is going to be the winner. The trick is that everybody has the same deck of cards, but has special abilities that they're trying to get out on the board by having other players reveal them for him. Just a reminder before we go into the video that these are prototype components. They're not final quality components, but do represent what you'll see in a final game in terms of function. So real quick, we'll take a look at how the game plays and what you do within that game, and then we'll come back here and I'll sum it all up for you. So here you can see the setup for Gunrunners. This is set up for 4 players, and you can tell that because there are 4 locations here, 1 per player. On these locations you can see cubes. These cubes represent 1 crate of weapons, and there are 2 on each of these spots. These discs are simply here to represent 5 crates of weapons, and in case you don't have enough 1 crate discs, or cubes. To the left of each location is a probationary agent, 1 for each player, and these agents are face down. Each one of them is a 1 card, which is what everybody will start with to the left as their starting probationary agent. In addition to that, each player is going to start with a hand of 5 cards, but each player has the same deck of cards. Some of these cards are simply numbered cards. You can see this one here is a 5. But others have special abilities. They're going to be activated when another player flips your card from you from probationary to an active agent. You can see there are things like the Director that says here that you can move a face-up card from one location, being these spots here, to another when he's flipped up by another player. And this includes moving himself, potentially. You also have things like the Runner here, who is a 6 card and is able to move 2 of these weapons crates from one location to another when he's activated. Or you have the Spy here. The Spy is a 4 value, and when she's flipped up, she can look at all of the probationary agents and rearrange them at locations as she sees fit. So you have several of these different cards with different abilities, and there are more, but note that everybody has the same deck of cards. Now, at the beginning of the game, as I said, everyone has a 1 card, and everybody has a handful of cards that they're going to be able to play. Each turn of the game follows the same 4 phases, and these 4 phases are 1, delivering weapons. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to roll a die to determine where weapons are going to show up this turn. And you'll roll this die, and if it's a 1 through 4, it's going to place weapons on location 1 through 4. So this is a 3, it would place a weapon on location 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 weapon goes here. In addition, at this point, if there are any weapons on the warehouse, they're going to move to that location as well. So that 3, if there was a weapon or weapons on the warehouse, would move all of the weapons from the warehouse to location 3. If you roll a number that does not correspond to locations 1 through 4, for example, a 5, you're going to place the crate of weapons on the warehouse. This will obviously have weapons available to be moved to a card later if it rolls a number that goes and places weapons on a spot, for example 4, and then you would move the weapons from the warehouse to 4. If at the start of your turn the warehouse is already full, for example there are 5 crates of weapons on it, the first thing you'll do is distribute 1 crate of weapons to each location, and then you'll proceed with distributing weapons normally by rolling the die. So we rolled a 3 to start with, and our weapons go out on area 3. That is delivering weapons, and next you would move to playing an agent. There are 2 ways you can play an agent, but it will always involve playing a card from your hand. You're going to have your hand of 5 cards, and you'll be able to play it either as a probationary agent, replacing one of the probationary agents on the left-hand side of an area, or you can play it as an undercover agent, playing it face down to the right of a card, but you can only have 1 face-down undercover agent in the game. And it will not get activated for its ability if it's flipped up, but will provide you an unknown amount of points later on when you're trying to score the area. You'll flip it up and it will surprise all of your opponents because they won't know how many points you've sent there. When you play a card as a probationary agent, you have to promote one of the probationary agents that are already there, and you can't promote your own. So, for example, you could promote Reds here, and the reason you're playing in Southeast Asia is because there's 3 crates of weapons available. This would flip this card up, which in this case has no effect, but it could have a special operatives effect in that if it had been a card with an ability, you flipping that card face up and promoting that agent would activate the ability. So, for example, let's grab one of Red's cards anyway. Let's say, instead of flipping that card up, you would flip up the 6. This would allow you to move 2 crates of weapons from one location to another, and red would take this ability. So maybe, now that they have a 6 here, they want to move 2 crates from Central America to Southeast Asia. They have a high-scoring card in this area, which is likely that they're going to win the area later when we score it, and it makes sense for them to move more weapons there because they'll get more victory points in the long run, the objective being to collect weapons. So that is phases 2 and 3. 2 is playing your card, and 3 is allowing the special action of whoever's card is flipped up to be activated. Phase 4 is called the bust phase, and what you're going to do in this phase is check and see if there are 4 face-up cards in any locations. Face-down operatives, the undercover agents, are not counted, and there will only be 1 per player out there unless they've played their manager, which would allow them to have 2 face-down undercover agents while that manager is active. But essentially, if you have this face-down card and 3 other face-up cards in addition to that one there, so let's say we had these cards out here, you would see and check and see who has the highest total value here. First, revealing any undercover agents. So, for example, we now know that for some reason green had played their 1 agent as an undercover agent, maybe just to try and psych everyone out. But we see here that red has 7 points, yellow has 5, and blue and green each have 1. So in this case, red is going to get half of the number of crates here rounded up. There are 4 face-up agents, or there were 4 face-up agents, so this area gets busted. They're going to get half of the crates rounded up, which is 3 in this case, and they're going to take these as victory points. The second place player is going to again get half of the remaining crates rounded up, which is 1 in this case, and they're going to take those as victory points. The player who's in third place would then get half of the remaining crates. And since there's a tie between green and blue, it goes to whoever's card was played earlier. Green played their card maybe between blue and red here, so since blue is closer, blue is going to get half of the crates rounded up and put them in their score pile for later in the game. All of these cards that are here would get discarded to a discard pile, and then you're going to have a special delivery from the Merchant of Death, who is going to replenish the stockpile of weapons in Southeast Asia and also increase the amount of weapons available everywhere else, making those areas more attractive to play operatives on later in order to try and get them busted to get more victory points. After each bust, you're going to advance the bust marker on the busted card 1 space. And there are 7 potential busts in a game that has 3 or more players. In a 2-player game, there's only 4 busts. But once you get to the 7th bust, the game is going to end. Now, this will end after that last bust. You'll distribute the points accordingly, and you'll pick up all of your remaining cards, which can be used as tiebreakers potentially in the game. But if you get to the 7th bust, the game will end, and whoever has the most victory points by collecting these crates is going to be the winner. The other way the game can end is if everyone has played all of the cards from their deck, because you're going to play a card and then draw another card into your hand to have 5 cards. If everyone has played all of their cards and you still haven't gone through 7 busts, you're going to have the game's going to end and you're going to bust each card or each location 1 more time. But prior to doing so, you're going to remove half of the cubes from the location because you simply don't have enough available agents to confiscate all of the weapons. At this point, you will still bust them normally, so whoever has the most will take half of the remaining cubes. Second most will get half of those remaining cubes, and so forth and so on, until all of the cubes have been distributed appropriately and any remaining cubes are left. But at this point, whoever has the most cubes by best placing their agents and getting other people to promote their agents, best using those special abilities, and collecting the weapons is going to be the winner. Well, there you have it. That is Gunrunners by Steve Finn, which is going to be up on Kickstarter here. If it's not already, then it'll be there very soon. The game is very simple to learn. Everybody has the same deck of cards, and there's a good amount of strategy in figuring out where to place those cards, how to best use the abilities once they are activated, which cards to place face down as undercover agents, and just generally how to distribute everything on your turn, moving around discs, or sorry, not discs, but crates of weapons, moving around cards, and so forth and so on. Now, there is a certain element of luck in that, although everyone has the same deck of cards, drawing the cards in the right order can definitely facilitate your placement in the game and how well you're able to move crates around. But that is true of any card game. So if this sounds interesting to you, I know that Steve would definitely appreciate your support on Gunrunners. They are going to be up, as I said, on Kickstarter, and are going to have several different pledge levels that may be interesting to the potential backer out there. One such level is going to allow you to pledge a certain amount of money and get your name on your own spy card. So you could be, for example, Ryan the Spy Metzler and have a card after you, so that's included in everyone's copy of the game. As I said, if this sounds interesting to you, check the link below, find them on Kickstarter, and pledge your support.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.